We have breaking news as the Cavaliers re-signed one of their two-way players to a new deal, allowing him to continue his development, not just in the G League, but with the potential spot on the starting roster, or the main roster, that is. This is a sneaky good move for Cleveland and what could be a perfect fit for the Cavaliers' future. And before we continue talking about who this player is, in case you're unfamiliar with him, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as just under 68% of you are not subscribed. And I would love for you guys to join me. I'm Matt Plangy, and Darius just uploaded his first video here on Cavs Digest. Billy's going to continue to push out videos here soon. But we're pushing out a lot of content as a lot of things happen in the offseason in the NBA. And I know it's hard to keep up with it all, and that is why you should subscribe to Cavs Digest and join this community that we are continuing to build here. You guys have been awesome in the recent videos. A lot of videos are doing so well, and I appreciate each and every one of you for your comments. Even if it's critiques, guys, I love to hear critiques, how I can improve my videos personally, how Darius, how Bailey, whatever, we all read your comments, we see them, and we always respond to them as well. Or at least I do my best to respond to them. So let's talk about this new deal. So Luke Travers, if you're not familiar with Luke Travers, he has officially re-signed to a two-way contract with the Cavs, with potential chance of being on the main roster. I know I said starting roster, but I meant the main roster. You know what I was referring to. He was a G League guy. They drafted him in the late second round, and he actually has finally got on. And this is what's interesting to me, because I know what you guys are going to say. You guys are going to mention Amani Bates, who didn't get re-signed to his two-way contract. But Luke Travers, on the other hand, does return. He's from Australia. You guys, this is a good player. Like, let's look at just him playing overall. This is a guy who is still kind of a project, a guy that still needs some development, specifically in his jump shooting and his consistent defensive ability. And that is what the Cavs are looking to develop with him. He's super athletic. He's super tall. He kind of reminds me of Dean Wade, but more athletic, but with worse shooting. That's kind of the comparison, basically, just because they are overall solid defenders and guys who are pretty tall for the small forward position, guys who perform at a pretty good level at the forward position. And that's what we like about Luke. Luke's just a good player. Of course, he was a late draft pick, and there wasn't much to him when we were drafting him, but it seems as if he has a lot of potential to continue to grow just as a player overall, and that's what the Cavaliers are hopefully looking to do. And as I said, we mentioned Amani Bates. The reason I mentioned Amani Bates is because he was also drafted by the Cavaliers, but he didn't get his two-way contract. I know a lot of you guys are bigger Bates fans than you are Luke fans, and that's why I mentioned what is going on with Luke. So after joining Cleveland on a two-way deal last summer, the 23-year-old swingman split time between the Cavaliers and their G League affiliate, the Cleveland Charge. In 12 appearances with the Cavaliers during the 2024-25 season, Travers saw limited floor time, averaging 1 point per game and 1.7 rebounds across 7.3 minutes per game. So that's a small margin. We're not going to question that too much, because in the G League, in 21 games with the Charge, he averaged 17 points, 9.9 rebounds, so we'll call it 10. We'll round up and be nice today. 7 assists. Basically, like, that's a phenomenal triple-double type of stat line right there. 1.5 steals and 1.2 blocks. So just a G League superstar, basically, when you look at the statistics. While logging heavy minutes, he flashed a versatile skill set that blended size, playmaking, and feel. Traits that earned him respect as a high IQ connector on both ends of the floor. This is from Evan Demarel from SportsIllustrated.com. Sports Illustrated Cleveland is what it was worded as. But, so it's time to talk about Luke as a player and what his potential it could be versus what it is right now. So due to the small sample size that I showed you in the stat line, or in just in those stats alone in that graphic, it seems as if that he hasn't got the heavy workload that he could get on the main roster. It just comes down to how elite was he in the G League, and is it enough? Well, there is a couple things that he has to develop. He has to develop a consistent jumper, at least in the NBA. He had, like, in the G League, he's a phenomenal player, but he still doesn't have that consistent shooting yet that we really want from him. But he is re-signed, so he's getting a chance, unlike Amani Bates that I know you guys are going to be really upset about. But I'm going to stop talking about Bates. We're going to keep focusing on Luke here, and we're going to talk about Jalen Tyson in a second here, but we're going to specifically talk about Luke as a player that has a lot of upside because of his size and his defensive IQ, and also just his offensive IQ. He's not turnover prone. He is good with his hands on the defensive side, can get steals, can get blocks. You saw in the highlights, there was a big block there at the end. He's pretty athletic, and he's pretty tall for his position, for a small forward who can potentially play power forward. That could bring off a little bit of stress on Evan Mobley if you want to put Luke into the game and give him some time on the main roster. But I think the biggest thing is that, G League players, yes, they're G League players, but they're still competitors at the end of the day, and Cleveland still wants their G League to be elite. There's a reason they signed him to a two-way. There's a reason they signed him to a two-way contract. They really, really trust this guy and his potential, at least to dominate on the G League. And if he continues to play well in the G League, they can pull him over to the main roster and give him some love in the NBA itself. And that is why they re-signed him. And that's basically how two-way contracts work. You get to play in both, and you see what those guys can do. Because Amani Bates, who I said I'm going to stop talking about, but I'm going to mention one more time here. I'm sorry, guys. Amani Bates, on the other hand, is a guy that didn't get his two-way contract re-signed, so he will enter free agency. So obviously the Cavs love Luke a little more than they love Bates, and I'm hoping that it doesn't become a Bates situation, which it hasn't yet. So that eliminates one prospect. There was obviously some prospects. Tyson was a first-round pick, and then Luke and Amani Bates, 2 second-round guys, where we all had question marks surrounding which one will take the biggest step, which one do the Cavs trust the most. So Bates, X out of the equation completely. Bates is gone. Luke is still here, and then Jalen Tyson is the other guy who the Cavs recently drafted in the first round. He didn't really get much playing time on the main roster either, but because of him being a first-round pick, he had more value going into the league, so it seems as if he's a little bit of a safer choice. But I'd still need to see some of these guys play. I need to see Tyson play. I need to see Luke play. I need these guys to get some minutes, but clearly the Cavs trust Luke enough to where they might be able to see a guy dominate in the G League and get at least garbage time minutes. That's where most of his minutes came from this year, was the garbage time. But at the end of the day, the Cavs are going to blow out teams. They're not going to get blown out as much, but they are going to blow out some teams throughout the season. I think in every blowout situation, Craig Porter, Tyson, and Luke need to be in the game no matter what. They need to be in the game, and these guys need to develop. Because the Cavaliers want to be a win-now team. You still need bench depth to be a win-now team, because that was the biggest lackluster thing entering the playoffs. Well, actually, entering the playoffs, their bench depth was what stood out. And then the bench completely underperformed. Sam Merrill, who they capped, of course, did not really play at his best in the playoffs. Dean Wade was kind of just there. I know some people love Dean Wade more than I do. And then, of course, Ty Jerome completely underperformed in 2 games against Indiana, what led to him apparently not getting re-offered anything, which is what it seemed like as he posted. He said he didn't even get a chance to return. But Jarrett Allen, of course, underperformed in the playoffs, but this is your chance to utilize garbage time to see what you can re-sign, because I personally love Luke. I think he has a lot of potential. I think that there is a lot of upside with him, and there's a reason they re-signed him. I think that this guy could potentially be not a top player, but he could be a 11th guy off the bench that is willing to give it his all. Just use physicality, use his defensive IQ, and put up good quality minutes in the playoffs. And that's what they're looking for the most. You couldn't get that out of Bates. We don't know if you're going to get that out of Tyson quite yet, because Tyson really hasn't gotten that legit minutes of playing time, which I thought he was going to get when the Cavaliers sent away Georges Niang and Karis LeVert for DeAndre Hunter. I thought that since that was 2 forwards that were gone for one, they were going to end up using Tyson as the other forward, which it doesn't seem like they have quite yet. But Luke Travers returns on his 2-way contract to the Cavs. Let's see what he can do. I hope that he gets a chance in the garbage time. I love his defensive IQ. I love his offensive IQ. I love that he's not turnover prone, that he has good fundamentals, but I hope that he can develop a consistent jumper, because he can knock them down, but he has to be able to hit them consistently. And if he can be physical on the defensive side, I think that this guy is going to get a lot of playing time as the season continues, but especially garbage time is when they need to utilize these guys. I talked about Craig Porter, him as well. But thank you guys for joining me on Cavs Digest. I'm Matt Palangi. I appreciate all your guys' support as of late. I love that this crew the hosts are continuing to grow, and now the community itself and how many subscribers we're continuing to grow. We're aiming for 5K. Actually, we're aiming for 3K. Let's settle down a little bit. I said 5K. We're aiming for 3K as based on how you guys have been, I think we could definitely get there. So share this video with your friends. Let me know what you guys think about Luke. Is there any potential for him in the NBA, or is he just going to be a big G League guy? And then I appreciate you guys for joining me. Thank you guys.